Jackie Chan notices it before anyone else does. Not because someone yells. Not because the director calls cut. But because the weight in his hand feels wrong. Just slightly. Enough to matter. Enough to be dangerous. And in that fraction of a second, Jackie understands something the rest of the crew hasn't realized yet. This fight scene just became real. Hong Kong, late 1980s. The set is loud, crowded, and chaotic in the way only Hong Kong productions are. Dozens of crew members move at once. Lights hum. Cables snake across concrete floors. Props are stacked in corners, some labeled, some not. There's no sterile separation between departments. Everything overlaps. Everything moves fast. They're filming an interior fight sequence. Tight space. Fast choreography. Improvised energy. The kind of scene Jackie Chan is famous for. Bodies colliding. Objects turning into weapons, humor and danger braided together. This isn't a rehearsal day. They're rolling cameras. Jackie is already sweaty. Breathing controlled but heavy. He's done this sequence several times, adjusting angles, tightening beats, making sure every movement reads clean on camera. He insists on real contact but controlled. Pain is acceptable. Injury is not. The weapons for the scene are supposed to be props. Aluminum. Lightweight. Filed edges. Designed to look lethal without actually being so. That distinction matters. Jackie reminds the crew of it every time. The scene involves a short blade. Nothing flashy. Not a sword. Just a knife-sized weapon used in close quarters. The choreography is fast, deflections, wrist control, disarms. Timing is everything. One mistake means stitches. 2 mistakes mean surgery. Jackie runs through the beats one more time with his co-star. Slow. Precise. Same rhythm, Jackie says. No speed change. The prop master nods. The assistant director calls for quiet. The camera rolls. The first exchange goes perfectly. Jackie moves instinctively, years of training compressing decision-making into reflex. He blocks, redirects, counters. The blade flashes near his face, close but safe. He feels the familiar lightness of the prop. Predictable. Forgiving. Then the sequence resets for another angle. Someone off-camera swaps the weapon. No announcement. No confirmation. Just a handoff. The blade looks identical. But it isn't. When Jackie grips it again, he feels it. The balance is off. The center of gravity sits heavier toward the tip. The metal doesn't flex the way it should. The handle doesn't absorb vibration. It's subtle. But Jackie has spent his entire life holding weapons. This one is real. Not sharpened for combat, but real enough. Steel. Weight. Consequence. Jackie's heartbeat spikes. He doesn't show it. Because panic spreads faster than blood. The director calls action. Jackie makes a decision instantly. He doesn't stop the scene. He adjusts. He shortens his movements by inches. Changes angles so the blade never travels on its original path. He tightens his grip to control momentum. He pulls strikes early. Redirects force inward instead of outward. To the crew it looks like a normal take. To Jackie it's controlled disaster. One slip and the blade opens his arm. His face. His throat. The co-star doesn't know. That's the most dangerous part. Halfway through the sequence, Jackie disarms his opponent. The blade spins. This is where it almost goes wrong. The weapon is supposed to arc past his shoulder and clatter harmlessly to the ground. Instead, the real weight carries it lower. Jackie reacts without thinking. He catches it. Barehanded. The metal bites into his palm. Not deep, but enough. The camera keeps rolling. Jackie doesn't flinch. He finishes the sequence, using the pain as feedback, adjusting pressure so the blade never slips. His expression stays focused, neutral, almost calm. When the director yells cut, Jackie immediately lowers the weapon. Stop, he says. Quietly. Firm. The room freezes. Jackie walks straight to the prop table. Picks up the backup blade. Feels the difference instantly. He looks at the prop master. This one is wrong, he says. The prop master frowns. Takes the blade. His face drains of color. This is real, he says. Silence. Someone swears. The assistant director runs a hand through his hair. The co-star finally understands what just happened. You mean during the take? Jackie nods. Yes. The reality hits the set in waves. This wasn't a near miss in theory. It happened on camera, in close quarters, at full speed, with a real weapon. Someone realizes Jackie's hand is bleeding. Another crew member grabs a towel. Jackie waves them off. Later, he says. He's more interested in understanding how it happened, not who to blame. How? The prop master explains. 2 blades were used earlier for a reference demonstration. A real one, dull but weighted correctly, and the prop version. They were supposed to be separated, labeled, locked. In the rush, someone put the real one back on the wrong table. No malice. No intent. Just speed. Jackie nods. This is how accidents happen, he says. Not angry. Not dramatic. Just factual. The director asks if Jackie wants to stop for the day. Jackie considers it. Then looks at his hand. The cut is shallow. Painful but manageable. We finish, he says. But we slow down. No one argues. The rest of the shoot is quiet. Focused. Everyone double-checks everything. The crew moves with care instead of speed. The energy has changed. They understand now. Later, after filming wraps, Jackie finally lets the medic clean the wound. As they bandage his hand, someone asks him the obvious question. Why didn't you stop the take? Jackie thinks for a moment. If I stopped suddenly, he says, my partner would freeze. Or panic. That's when accidents happen. He looks down at his hand. I had control, he says. So I kept it. Word of the incident spreads quietly through the industry. Not as gossip. As a warning. People start talking about Jackie's awareness. His discipline. His refusal to let ego override safety. Even when danger appears unexpectedly. Younger stunt performers ask him what to do if something feels wrong mid-scene. Jackie always says the same thing. Trust your body, he says. But protect everyone. Years later, Jackie uses the story when teaching. Not to scare. To instruct. He explains that real danger doesn't announce itself. It slips in quietly. Through small changes. Slight differences. A grip that feels wrong. A sound that doesn't match expectation. That's why awareness matters more than bravery. Bravery reacts. Awareness prevents. The footage from that day is never released publicly. But those who were there never forget it. They remember how close it came to disaster. How easily it could have gone wrong. How Jackie absorbed the danger without spreading it. How he finished the scene. Jackie Chan is often described as fearless. But that's not accurate. He feels fear acutely. He just doesn't let it take control. That day on set wasn't about heroics. It was about responsibility. Knowing when to adapt instead of freeze. Knowing when to protect others even while endanger yourself. When Jackie looks back on that moment, he doesn't talk about the blade. He talks about the silence afterward. The realization that one small oversight could have changed everything. And how close filmmaking always is to chaos if discipline slips. That fight scene makes it into the final cut. Audiences never know what almost happened. They just feel the tension, the authenticity, the precision. They don't realize it, but their body responds differently to that scene. Because something in it is real. Jackie Chan didn't become a legend by chasing danger blindly. He became one by recognizing it instantly and choosing control over chaos. That day, a real weapon entered the frame. What saved everyone wasn't luck. It was awareness. And that's the difference between an action star and a professional who understands the true weight of every movement. That night, long after the set empties, Jackie sits alone in his trailer. The adrenaline has worn off. The noise is gone. What's left is the quiet ache in his hand and the heavier weight in his chest. He turns his palm upward, slowly flexing his fingers, watching how the bandage tightens and loosens with each movement. Could have been worse. That thought doesn't comfort him. It unsettles him. Because almost is still too close. Jackie has seen what happens when people treat danger casually. He's attended funerals. He's visited hospitals where careers ended not with applause, but with paperwork. He knows how thin the line really is between a controlled stunt and an irreversible mistake. And tonight that line blurred. Not because of ambition. Because of routine. Speed. Assumption. The next morning Jackie calls a meeting. Not with producers. Not with executives. With the crew. Everyone who touches a prop. Everyone who moves equipment. Everyone who works close enough to be affected when something goes wrong. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't accuse. He tells the story again, step by step, from his point of view. How the weight felt wrong. How the balance shifted. How his body reacted before his mind caught up. And then he says something that surprises them. I was lucky, he says. But luck is not a plan. The room is silent. Jackie explains that skill doesn't remove danger. It only buys you time. Awareness buys you options. Discipline buys you survival. He tells them something else too. If I had been showing off, he says, someone would be hurt right now. That lands harder than any reprimand. Because everyone knows it's true. From that day forward, Jackie changes how sets operate around him. Not dramatically. Subtly. Every weapon is checked twice. Once by the prop master. Once by Jackie himself. Not out of distrust, out of respect. No one complains. Because everyone remembers how close it came. And slowly, something shifts in the culture around him. People stop rushing. They start communicating. They understand that speed impresses no one if it leads to injury. Years later, a young stunt performer asks Jackie why he still checks props himself. You're Jackie Chan, the performer says. Everyone knows you know what you're doing. Jackie smiles. That's exactly why I check, he says. Because experience doesn't protect you from mistakes. It exposes you to them. The longer you work, the more opportunities there are for something small to go wrong. That's why humility matters. The story follows Jackie quietly as he moves between productions. Not exaggerated. Not sensationalized. Just respected. Crew members tell new hires about the day. A real weapon entered the frame and Jackie kept everyone safe by staying calm instead of heroic. They talk about how he finished the scene without anyone realizing the danger until it was over. Not because he wanted credit, but because panic would have made it worse. When action films begin pushing toward bigger, faster, more violent choreography in the years that follow, Jackie becomes a counterbalance. He argues for clarity, for precision, for responsibility. He reminds directors that the audience doesn't need chaos, they need truth. And truth comes from control. Later in his career, Jackie teaches a workshop. He brings 2 knives. One prop. One reel. He asks the students to hold them with their eyes closed. Every student can tell the difference. That difference, Jackie says, is what saved me. He explains that real danger announces itself quietly. It doesn't shout. It doesn't pose. Feels slightly wrong. And if you ignore that feeling, you don't get a warning twice. When people praise Jackie for being fearless, he corrects them. I'm careful, he says. Fearless people don't live long. That line becomes something of a quiet mantra among stunt teams who work with him. Careful doesn't mean timid. It means aware. Years after the incident, Jackie watches the finished film with an audience. The fight scene plays. People laugh at the choreography. Winces ripple through the crowd during the close exchanges. The tension works exactly as intended. No one knows what almost happened. Jackie doesn't need them to. The point was never recognition. The point was responsibility. Looking back, Jackie doesn't call that day one of the most dangerous moments of his career. He calls it one of the most important. Because it reinforced something he had always believed but now understood completely. Skill is not about domination. It's about control. Control of your body. Control of the space. Control of your reactions when something goes wrong. That day, a real weapon slipped into a fake world. And instead of panic, there was awareness. Instead of chaos, there was restraint. Instead of tragedy, there was a lesson. Jackie Chan didn't stop the take. Not because he was reckless, but because he understood that leadership sometimes means absorbing risk quietly so others don't have to. That's not something the camera captures. But it's why the scene feels different. Why it holds tension. Why audiences feel something they can't quite explain. A real weapon got mixed in.